Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. It's January and you know what that means, winter weather. But what does the snowball have to do with your finances? Let me show you. Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. If you're new here, hit the like and subscribe button. If you've been here before, I assume you've already hit those subscribe buttons, so hit the like button. Today we're going to talk about a not so fun topic called debt. But it's a necessary topic to talk about because debt is when you owe somebody or something some form of value back to them, most of the time in the form of currency. If you're an avid Dave Ramsey follower like I am, you know that there's bad debt, only bad debt. But if you ventured into the world of rich dad, poor dad, you know there's good debt and bad debt. Now, good debt is when you have debt that makes you money in return, like real estate. If you were to buy a house and you were to rent it out to people and it gives you monthly income, then that's good debt because you're paying off the mortgage with other people's money. The whole point of good debt is to basically pay for debt with other people's money. Bad debt, on the other hand, is consumer debt, like your credit cards, your car loans, your student loans, your house mortgage, your personal house mortgage. Now, if you're somebody like me who kind of falls in the middle of these two, you'll see the pros and cons to both philosophies. But what I want to stress here is that if you have bad debt, you shouldn't even know what good debt is. You should try to avoid good debt at all costs, because if you can't control your own finances enough to not be in bad debt, then you should not get into good debt, because good debt typically comes at a higher price tag with the assumption that you're making money off of it. But if you don't know what you're doing, a lot of times you'll go into good debt thinking you're going to make money, and then you won't make any money, or there'll be slow months without any tenants in your house that you're renting, and all the while that mortgage still has to be paid. So if you're in bad debt, I would focus on getting out of bad debt first. Then if you want to try and go into good debt and make money off of that, that's fine. That's not something that I do, but it is an option. Now, back to Dave Ramsey. I was recently doing some reading and found that 80% of Americans have debt. That's 8 in 10 people, or 4 out of 5. If you walk into a room of 10 people and pick 8 randomly, there's a good chance that all of them are in debt. There's even some people who believe that debt is a necessity in life to live the way that they are, and that's just not true. Now, you may be wondering, where does this debt come from? It comes from houses, cars, student loans, phones, all these different things. But a lot of it stems from keeping up with the Joneses. My friend got a new truck, so I need a new truck. My friend got a lift, so I need a lift. There was recently an article on CNBC that gave the breakdowns of how much average debt each age group has, and the numbers are startling. Right now, ages 18 to 23, or Gen Z, are already over $9,000 in debt. These are some people who just got new cars, just started their student loans. The millennials have a wide age range. They range from 24 to 39. And they're buying houses and cars, they have student loans, they got to get the newest iPhone. And so their debt's a little bit more than the Gen Z at $78,000. The next age group is Gen X at 40 to 55. And these people are over $130,000 in debt. Now, some of these people are on a second house that's probably more expensive than their first house, so their mortgage is a little bit more. So that's why this number is probably a little bit higher if I had to guess. But they still have the car payment, and hopefully their student loans are paid off. Next, we get into the baby boomers, age 56 to 74, with over $96,000 in debt. Now, it's lower than the Gen X because typically they're closer to paying off their houses. They're closer to retirement. So they're trying to pay off all their debts before they go into retirement. Because the goal is to not be in debt when you go into retirement. So the money that you get from Social Security, your retirement accounts, your pensions, all of that goes towards things that you want to do in retirement. And the most startling number to me is the silent generation, 75 and above. These people are over $40,000 in debt. This is startling to me because at 75 and above, unfortunately, you're doing end-of-life planning. And with that end-of-life planning, you don't want to have debt in that plan. Because when you do inevitably pass on, this debt still has to be paid. And unfortunately, it's just going to go to your heirs. The people who are now mourning your loss also are thousands and thousands of dollars more in debt than they were before. That's why paying down debt is so important. Because if you can get to the end of your life and give your kids nothing, that's way better than getting to the end of your life and giving your kids negative dollars. Now, before I get too somber, let me go into the methods of paying off debt. I'm going to go through 3 methods of paying off debt, one of which is the one that I prefer and the one that Dave Ramsey prefers. So the first method we'll talk about is the interest rate method. Paying off the highest interest rate first and then working down to the smallest one. Now this works great because typically your credit cards have the highest interest rate. If you have $1,000 in debt on a credit card, let's say at 20%, that means if you don't pay anything on it at the end of the year, there's an extra $200 on there and you didn't spend anything else on that credit card. So it's important to try and knock these down as quick as possible. So you knock these down, and then what you do is you take that money that you were putting towards that payment and you put it towards your next payment plus what you were paying. And then you take that and add it to the next payment plus what you were paying, and so on and so forth until all your debt's gone. The next method is the avalanche method. What you do for this method is you list your debts from largest to smallest, and then you pay off the largest debt first, no matter the interest rate. And then once that's paid off, you go to the next one, then the next one, then the next one, each time adding what you were previously paying on the first one to the next payment. Finally, we have the snowball method. This is what I recommend and what Dave Ramsey recommends. You list your debts smallest to largest, and you pay off the smallest debt first. Then once you have that paid off, it's like the avalanche method where you just keep moving it to the next one, to the next one, to the next one, to the next one. The benefit in doing the snowball method over the other 2 methods is that paying off debt or any long-term goal you have is a mentality. You have to really get into it and give yourself little rewards. The idea with this is not that you will pay off your debts any faster or slower than the other methods, but that you'll be more encouraged to keep going when you see that first debt get paid off, then the second debt, then the third debt, then the fourth debt. And you'll pay them off faster and faster and faster. And it'll be encouraging to you. Whereas in the avalanche method, you don't have that paid off for 2 years while all these other ones are accruing interest. And somewhere in that 2-year slot, you say, I don't want to do this anymore because you're so discouraged because you feel like you've made no progress. Now, I did run some numbers and I wanted to present them to you. We're going to go back to our good friend Tim. So here's his budget from last time, and here's his debts. Now, as you can see, Tim is in a financial crisis because from his $3,000 monthly income after taxes, he has a $50,000 yearly income. And if you add up all of these debts, it adds up to $71,600. So Tim has more debt than what he makes in a year. And if this is the situation that you're in, I'm just here to tell you this is not going to be a fast process. Now, when you're looking at this debt, don't look at your mortgage. Your mortgage is something completely separate that we'll talk about in another video. So Tim has $39,000 in student loans, $19,000 on a car loan, $600 on a phone, $6,000 on his first credit card, and $7,000 on his second credit card. So I'm going to show you how long it would take him to pay off his debts using the snowball, avalanche, and interest rate method. So what we're going to do for this is we're going to take the money that he's paying on his debts plus the $150 he has left over and apply that to his debts as he goes. With just that amount of money and no more, starting in January 2021, he will finish paying off all his debts by March 2030. Using the avalanche method, he finishes in March of 2033. Interest rate method, he finishes in November of 2029. So in this case, the interest rate method was the best method from a timeline perspective. Now, we see that he's got $200 in entertainment, but there's no fun to be had whenever you're in debt. So if he were to take that $200 and apply that as well to all of his debts, the story changes a little bit. If he were to apply that extra $200 using the snowball method, he would finish in May of 2027. Using the avalanche method, he would finish in September of 2028. And using the interest rate method, he would finish in March of 2027. So just that $200 extra a month helps him pay off all his debts 2 years earlier in every scenario. Now finally, if Tim finds a way to cut costs around what he's doing and what he spends normally, he could pay it off even faster. One example that I came up with is, since Tim lives alone and pays $1,000 in rent, if he were able to get a roommate and cut his rent in half to $500 and apply that extra $500 to his loans, he would get done even faster. With the snowball method, he would be done in January of 2025. With the avalanche method, he would be done in April of 2025. And with the interest rate method, he would be done in December of 2024. All of these timelines improved further with the $500 that he found from getting a roommate. I know what you're thinking. Why would I spend 5, 7, 10 years of my life putting the maximum amount of money into debt that I can just so I'm debt free? Won't I just go back into debt? And this is a great thought. This is a great question that a lot of people have. And the thought is that once you get out of debt, aside from a mortgage, long term, you don't get back into debt. All of these calculations were done without taking into account Tim getting a raise, a bonus, a tax refund, any of that. And I know that he found $500 somewhere that helped him out a lot. The point here is that there's always going to be a new iPhone. There's always going to be a car you want. There's always going to be a car you need. But you don't have to make payments on them. If you make payments on the debt and get the debt paid off and then start saving over time like you're making payments, then go pay cash for your car, for your phone, for whatever it is, and you pay cash for it. No credit cards, no debt, no loans. Then you can start to grow financially. Imagine not having a car payment for the next 5 to 6 years, or the next 10 years, or however long you plan on keeping your car. That's what you can do when you don't have debt. What would you do with an extra $200, $300, $400 a month? Think about it. What would you do? And then once you get all your debt paid off, and you have everything saved up for that you need to save up for, a down payment on a house, a new car, a new phone, whatever it is that you want to save up for, you can start really investing and seeing your money grow for you without you doing a single thing other than investing consistently over time. And that's what I'm about to do. If you haven't been here before, what I'm about to do is I've been taking $10 a day of my own money and investing into a random stock a day. The point that I'm trying to make with this is that the S&P 500 grows year over year at about 9%. And so you shouldn't be scared to invest in the stock market. A lot of people are scared because they said they're going to lose their money, or they're waiting on the next election results, or they're waiting on their stimulus check, or whatever the case may be. There's a lot of reasons out there not to invest. But if you're not investing, you're losing money. Inflation's at 2% every year. If you have $100 right now, next year it's worth $98. The next year, it's worth less than that. So if you can invest in the stock market at 9% a year, you're beating inflation by 7% a year. So that's what I'm doing. I'm investing my money to prove to you, to give you a peace of mind that the stock market will grow and that it's a safe place to put your money. So without further ado, I'm going to generate my 7 random stocks, and then I'll tell you what each of them are. Right now they're being generated. These numbers correlate to an Excel spreadsheet that I have that lists all of the 505 stocks in the S&P 500. There's only 500 companies, but there's 505 stocks. So it lists all of them, 1 to 505, and whatever number comes up is one that I pick. At 189, we have FIS. This is Fidelity National Information Services. This is a financial company that offers many products and services. At 340, we have NSC, or Norfolk Southern Corporation. This company operates the largest intermodal locomotive network in the eastern United States. At 277, we have Kroger. This is actually the largest supermarket by revenue. At 40, we have ADI, or Analog Devices. This is an American multinational semiconductor company that specializes in data conversion and signal processing. At 114, we have CMS Energy Corporation. This is a utility company out of Jackson, Michigan. At 458, we have UAL, or United Airlines Holdings. This company owns and operates United Airlines. And finally, at 113, we have CME, or the CME Group. This is an American global markets company that is the world's largest financial derivatives exchange. And just like that, I make a pie with all 7 of these companies in it. I enter that I want to pay $70 for these stocks to be evenly dispersed. And on the next trading day, I'll have $70 worth of these stocks. If you want to start your own investment account, you can start a Robinhood or an M1 Finance account using the links down below in the description. And if you want to learn a little bit about budgeting or some other topics that I've talked about, check out some of my previous videos. And as always, like and subscribe. Till next time, see ya. Make sure no normal people are out there.